What's going on, ladies and gents? It's your man Hanz Nobe with another Hanz Nobe vlog, and today I want to talk to you about why I'm running on 2 to 3 hours of sleep in the past 24 hours. So let's talk about it. So today is August 13, 2020, and we are exactly about 6 hours away from the release of Win's third album, Project Mayhem, which has been co-executive produced by Win, Mark Generous, and myself. And I sort of just want to touch base about how this came to be, how it became the EP of this album. So if you've been following me for a while, I co-executive produced Win's last album, which is called Alternate Side. I produced 2 tracks on here, Give Me Time, and the other one was Stay With Me, along with Josh Lamont. We also brought in Nico, which you guys have seen in my previous post. She sung the vocals, and Win wrote the entire record. So I guess the thing to take away from this is all relationships. Win had actually called me up because he said he wanted to write the record. Give Me Time, he's going to record it, but he wanted me to come and actually produce it. So I said, okay, cool. So he already had the beat that I sent over. And so we went over, fine-tuned some things, and I was talking with the engineer, Fred, who works at TME Studios, and telling him, hey, my drums, hey, you may want to do this, that, and the third, sort of pull things back and sort of create space, because we had a very skeleton-like beat. Initially, I was going to build upon it, but Win liked it the way it was, so of course, the artist is always right. So that came to be, and then he started playing the records on the album that said, hey, you may want to do this, hey, for that snare, you may want to make it pop like this, hey, for her vocals, you may want to push that over here, this, that, and the third. And what happened was, when I left the studio, Win called and said, hey, look, listen, you kind of know what you're doing, or sound like you know what you're doing, which is totally fair. Hey, I want you to come in and help me work on this album. So what happened was, I came into TME Studios and I was working with creative director Justin Case, and we started working on the sequencing of the album. Now, him and Jay had their own sequence. I came with mine completely different. And the track listing that you're hearing on Alternate Side is my original track listing. So it threw them off, because they were just like, this was not what we had planned, but this works so much better. So what happened was, we had a talk, we had some negotiation as far as on points and everything else, and he brought me in to executive produce the album. And the role of executive producer for an album, honestly, is that you are responsible for the success of that album. So if it flops, everyone looks at you, right? So of course, an EP can come in, they can finance the album, they can actually try to put it in different places to make sure it goes blow up. You're dealing more on the admin side of the album. Mike Karen, who's a very famous executive producer, one of the records he EP'd, or rather he A&R'd, which kind of goes interchangeable here, was Bodak Yellow. And what he did was, he was at the office, he was sitting there, he was filling out the paperwork. He called the engineer and said, hey, I need the piano, it needs more bite, right? And so because he did that, and because he's one of the admin, he's actually one of the staff members on that album, he gets EP credit. He also gets an A&R credit as well. Now, as far as how things work, as far as like, when do you get labeled as an A&R, we get labeled as an EP, it's sort of interchangeable. I know it's very ambiguous, but from my understanding, my experience, and you can let me know in the comments if there's more definitive, but on the project that I've worked on, if I'm A&R something, I get an executive producer credit on that particular record. And now that can come with a producer fee or a finder's fee if I brought in a songwriter, and there's certain deals that you can work out. If you're just coming just to sort of put the whole album together, it's your job to sort of shop it around, get the records placed. You have to help tell the narrative of that record and that album if you are trying to pitch it to different record labels, or you're trying to get it financed, or if you're financing it yourself. So for me personally, I take the EP role a bit serious, because if no one remembers the album, that's reflected on me. That's how I take it. Now, other executive producers may not take it as much, because they're like, hey, I'm just working with what I was given. But for me, I'm a bit more hands-on. I want to get in the studio. I want to be there with the engineer. I want to make sure that we deliver a solid product, because the whole purpose of this is just putting out music, in my opinion, is just to make sure you have some sort of solid catalog. Anyway, without getting into the long speech, and I'll sort of break this up in a series, but brought in for this one, brought Mark Generous into this fold as well, because he wanted the experience of executive producing an album. So we gave him way more input than he had on the last album. So he actually could say, hey, what do we do this? What if we do this? Hey, for this record, we should do this with the mix, and this, and the third. We were able to work, all three of us, very cohesively which is rare because usually 3 people in the kitchen is too many chefs in the kitchen, so there can be a lot of pushback. But whenever there was pushback, everyone gave a reason. So there was no like, I don't like the drums. Well, why is that? I just don't. It was like, hey, I don't like the drums because they're clashing with this. What if we turn up the attack at an 808 and let the drum breathe? Or hey, actually let's pull, the hi-hats back on this and let the percussion take most of it because it gives a better groove. In doing that, we were able to create like really solid album. Give you some insight into what goes on. So as you see here on my computer screen, I'm currently working on split sheets. I'm talking with Mark Wynn, and we have 2 international producers. I'm sorry, 3. Well, technically 4 international producers. We're working with The Crates again out in Berlin. We're also working with Mark out in Canada. We're also working with The Gift Beats, please forgive me, I forgot what country he's out of, but he's also international as well. So of course, it's also the negotiation part as well. I'll get into that a bit more as far as like how I work with an artist and another beat maker or another producer in regards to negotiating splits and how I can actually get mine. I'll dive into that a bit more. If you guys are interested more in like how I negotiate in regards to either selling beats or selling like a package of beats or working on an album, let me know in the comments and I can definitely make a video, but I'm not sure if you guys are even interested in that because sometimes it can get very boring. That's it for today. If you're watching on Instagram, you're not following, hit the follow button, turn on the post notifications. If you're watching on Facebook, hit like and share. If you're watching on YouTube, hit like and subscribe. Make beats and hydrate. Peace.